Now that we've finished hatching with warm colors, we're going to move on to cross hatching with cool colors. So the cool colors are greens, blues, and purples. I'm going to use 2 out of the ordinary colors for mine. If you have that option, you may do so too, as long as they are in the cool color range. Now for cross hatching, it's a lot like hatching, except for our lines are actually going to cross. So they are going to run perpendicular also. So just like the first one, we want to start with our lightest color, which for me is this green. And I want to build that on my value scale. So not only are my lines going to be kind of far apart, but they're actually going to cross. Now I want each of these boxes to be a value in its own. So that means we might not be filling it all the way in because of our techniques, but it should be getting darker with each one. Now that I'm in the middle, my lines are getting closer for my medium color, and I'm pressing with normal pressure. So look at how we can see from light to mid-light to medium here. So we're going to keep building that with my lines going in both directions, getting closer and adding more pressure as they get all the way to our darkest square. Look how I'm taking my time, making my lines, and staying nice and tidy inside my box. So if I can tell that this one is pretty close to that one, I can go back and add some more lines. Look by how adding those, now I can see a difference in those boxes. So we finished with our light color. We're going to go ahead and pick up our medium color. And that's always starts in our second box. So I'm going to go ahead and start to add some of that color in. We can already see a change on the screen with that addition of blue. In medium, I'm going to press pretty normal pressure to get that difference. And then in my next 2 boxes, I'm going to press even harder, applying that pressure to make my value of my color look darker. Again, going both directions. The more your lines overlap, the darker the color you're going to make. And look at how we can already see this last one really building in color. So we're going to go to our last color, which is my purple. And we are going to take this and again, start that right past the medium, adding in those lines. I can already see a value change. And then we're going to keep that cross-hatching motion going on in our last box where we're really going to need to press. When you're using colored pencils, it does this magical thing where it turns almost waxy the more you apply pressure and fill in that area. So look at now how we created all these tones, but again, all these different values of color by blending with our colored pencils. The same as we did above, we're going to do with the sphere, except for we're going to do that with that cross-hatching technique. So I'm going to start, which is really nice, with my light color. And I'm actually going to be able to curve my lines to match the shape of the sphere. But I'm also going to be able to curve in the opposite direction. And this is really going to help your item start to look more 3D. Now I can't forget my cast shadow, which is opposite of my light, all going in one direction, and then I can even switch my direction to build that up closest to that sphere. Now I'm going to grab my mid-tone, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm not going to go all the way up to where it's light, because I want to be able to see that light to that medium and to that dark. So I went one direction, I'm going to go the other direction, and I'm going to do the same thing on my shadow at the bottom, keeping it darker closest to that sphere. And again, I'm going to use my purple, my dark color, and I am going to build up where those dark tones would be, leaving a little gap for that reflected light, but still allowing to see that blue and that green. And then adding in that pressure all the way down on that shadow. So for this one, we used our cool colors, our blues, greens, and purples, and we learned cross-hatching where our lines overlap and how to use that on a 3D object.